Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to prove you wrong.
Common ground.
This is
Part
common
3.
ground.
This is common ground. Part 3. We've been drinking a little. I'm not sure.
A little bit.
I'm not sure if that comes across on video. This story, our third story, maybe fifth story, depending on how you count these, is a story that Francesca was there for. This took part in our first series in Japan when we were filming. Yeah. Francesco and I sort of have a long-running joke about how he will correct me on things because
I'm right, basically.
Because he's right, but also because as the host and therefore sort of the voice of the series, often it puts me in the position, especially since I'm about 10 years older than Francesco, it sort of puts me in the position of teacher, which is not necessarily my skill set all the time with information. So Francesco will often counter my statements of fact and prove me wrong, and this is one of those times when he proved me wrong. It's hitchhiking in Japan.
We were in...
we were actually, if you saw the People Who Hate Us video, we were actually on our way. Easily the most frustrating day we ever had in Japan.
No question.
We were on our way to go check out the wind telephone to see if we could go film it, which we couldn't. Totally understandable. We're completely on that woman's side. Don't get me wrong.
Up until
but
that
we
point.
did not know until we got there that was the case. And it was really hard for us to get there. We took a train from where our hotel was on the main Shinkansen line. We had to take a train to a bus system, but the bus wasn't going anymore because the tsunami had wiped out virtually everything in this area. So we walked, I'm going to say 3 or 4 hours,
3 hours.
Along a highway, just trying to get to this wind telephone, which is in a very small town in a tsunami zone. Virtually no way to get there. We can't rent cars because I don't drive, and Francesco didn't have his international license, so nobody would let us rent a car. And about 3 hours into this walk, we were just like, both of us were pretty much at our limits. It's very hard for two people to not get mad at each other when the situation sucks. Yeah. Because even though it's neither of our faults, you got to take it out on somebody, right? So we take it out on each other. We're pretty used to that. But at this point, we were like 3 weeks into knowing each other. Yeah. So it was. We were trying very hard not to take it out on each other, but at the same time, 3 hours of walking down a highway does have a certain negative. And we also are carrying all of our stuff. So we're talking, 60 pounds of gear that we're carrying, and we're pretty frustrated. So eventually we come across, as is often the case in Japan, a mountain with a tunnel. Yeah, a tunnel. And you can't walk through the tunnels. So we're stuck at the edge of this tunnel, and we've already walked 3 hours in this direction, and now we're at basically a standstill. So Francesco and I have been talking about hitchhiking a little bit up until this point, but we, as foreigners, for those of you who know Japan, being a foreigner in Japan is very, I guess you could say that you are treated as somewhat violent. Yeah. You're just sort of treated as maybe you're going to be violent. It's a lot, unfortunately, it's a lot like Black Americans are treated. Even though you're not more violent, even though you're not more sexual, they do kind of treat you that way. Yeah. So my thought was that nobody's going to pick us up. I mean, I speak Japanese. I've lived in Japan for a number of years. About kind of that point. You've been there for a couple weeks. Yeah. So he says, well, of course somebody's going to pick us up. And we have this back and forth argument where I'm telling him there's no way in hell somebody's going to pick us up in this car. But we cannot get through this tunnel, so we have to hitchhike. Stick out our thumb. I think it was the third car. Third car pulls over, and it's an 80-year-old woman. Yeah, 80 plus. Just like steering wheel, her eyes, just right above it, and her mother, who's 100. Yeah, something like that. Just obscenely old women. And they don't understand what hitchhiking is, which we don't realize. Yeah. We think that they saw the thumb, they've pulled over for us, but they think we're hurt or in trouble, so they're just checking on us, right? So they pull over, and I open the back door, and they scream, as if we were coming in to murder them. They let out this horrifying scream, so I back off, and I start speaking to them in Japanese. And the moment I start speaking Japanese, they just calm down, everything changes, they understand that I can talk to them. And basically I explain what hitchhiking is. I explain what we're trying to do. and you can tell that they are not comfortable, especially the woman driving. This 75, 80-year-old woman driving. She is not comfortable with us getting in this car. But her mother turns to her, this 100-something-year-old woman, and just chastises her in like a way that a 30-year-old mom would talk to her 5-year-old son. Like a straight up, let them in the car. You know. So we get in the back seat, and they say, if you hand us everything from the back seat, and we can put that in the front seat so you can't steal it, we will let you sit back there through the tunnel. Yeah. And they drove us through the tunnel, that was really, really nice of them. But also so weird. Sweet, but also so weird because the tunnel was not far. It was a minute. Yeah. A minute through the tunnel. Yeah. But the whole experience of opening the door, the scream, the disagreement on whether this would even work.
It was intense.
It was very intense. And especially since we were already kind of at an emotional height by that point, and you knew nothing of Japan. Yeah. And we didn't really know each other, so this was more like a bonding experience. It was really fun.
It made it better.
It did make it better because that day was hard. That day was hard. After we got told that we couldn't film at that telephone booth, we were now about a 4.5-hour walk away from town. Yeah.
And couldn't film.
And we had to go back now with nothing. And I don't know if you guys understand our schedule, but we try to film one every 3 days total. So that basically meant that we now had a day and a half to do the two each. And it was really frustrating.
Yeah, we can't waste time like that.
But no matter what, we just kept turning around and talking about this hitchhiking experience. Because no matter how frustrating it was, the whole day was saved by this 5 minutes we'd spent in the car with these old women. And then, I think at the end of it, they really had a good time too. Yeah, because they got over their fear. They also had the little adrenaline pump.
Absolutely.
And
it was a new experience for them as well.
I will not forget that. I forget most everything. He'll tell you for certain. I forget most everything, but I will not forget that. That woman screaming when we opened the door. Oh my God.
That was funny.
Never gonna forget. Yeah. So anyway, thanks guys. See ya. One thing I forgot to mention, Anina, I told you that I had a raccoon video I'd filmed for you. I'm just going to tack that on to the end of this video after this little bit because I still have that raccoon video. It's like 2 months old now, but everybody likes raccoons. Raccoons?
I don't.
Get the hell out. Anyway, thanks. Hello, Anina. This is your personal video. We are at home. Filming with my wife, and there's my dog right there. He just had surgery. There's a cone. And out in our backyard, there's a little raccoon just hanging out looking at us. He's pretty cute. We believe he's ill, unfortunately, but that does not stop him from being cute. Kata, confirmation?
It's very cute.
Very cute. Best part of Canada, probably. We don't have a whole lot to say for our personal video. I wrote you an email, and I don't know if you got it, but I didn't really know what to tell you, and I asked you if you wanted something specific, but I got nothing back, so I decided to make this, because there was a raccoon in the backyard, and that felt kind of fun. What else? I have some letters down here that I've been writing to our little Patreon subscribers. It's really cool. This is the first video I've ever made for a Patreon subscriber, and I think that's quite obvious from the lack of awareness of what I'm doing. I hope you like the raccoon. I hope you like the little video. And we hope to see you some more in these. Have a great day.